Hey guys, this is Chess Coach Aaron, and I'm here with Danish Gambit game number 2. I was going to do 3 of them, 3 different videos real quick of some Blitz games. The Danish Gambit, I think, is a great opening to play to just get better as being an attacker. The Danish Gambit's a lot of fun, very spicy, I love that. And especially in Blitz, 3-minute, 5-minute, even rapid 10-minute. It's a great opening, puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. Not quite a sound opening for slower time controls, maybe, because giving up 2 pawns, which is the idea of the Danish Gambit, right? And this is the idea. I'm going to do this every video real quick. Boom, boom, c3. They take again, and this is when they're accepting the Danish Gambit. And white has these amazingly active diagonal pieces for 2 pawns, though. And 2 pawns is a lot to give up. All right. In this particular Blitz game, e4, e5, d4, they captured. c3, they captured again. I played bishop c4. And not everyone's always going to capture. There are going to be times they don't capture even the first time. I've had that quite a few times. Maybe I'll do that for one of my next videos. But, you know, you have to deal with whatever they do. But just remember, try to be active, aggressive, spicy. Don't give too much material away if you can help it. Maybe some pawns, of course. But this is to practice being an attacker. All right, so here they have a lot of choices. The number 1 choice is c takes b2. Some other choices are, let's see, they have the knight. I think that was the very last game that was played. They can move the bishop somewhere. I've had bishop b4 and bishop b7 played against me. They can move this pawn forward, d6, d5. There are a lot of choices, actually. I've even had a c2 played against me. Why not? Give the pawn back by force, but don't let this bishop get active. Make the queen go to a different spot. All right, I mean, I've had that played against me. Here they played knight c6. I think that's actually the number 2 move played in this position. Every time my opponent plays knight c6, early on, if I haven't developed this knight, I'm going to f3 and I'm kind of balancing it. And I like to get knight f3 in, as soon as possible in these positions, because I want a castle. I want my rook to be involved. I want my king off that e-line. That's one of the big things with the Danish Gambit, hopefully getting the e-line open. Sometimes you have to go forward with your opponent to force that. All right, so I played knight f3. They played knight f6. All right, well, this is going to allow me to go forward at the right time with tempo. And I'm not worried about them taking the pawn. Again, queen going to b3 in many of these lines is very strong. Queen even going to d5 or somewhere over here, h5 or f3, depending on what happens later, also very strong. My pieces are very active. White's pieces are very active, I should say. All right, but I just want a castle. So many times I'll castle. Here, of course, I was considering queen b3 now, putting pressure and seeing how they're going to cover their f-pawn. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, so queen b3 is definitely a good move too. All right, so I castled, and they played with the bishop. They want a castle, makes sense. They just played the knight out, and they want a castle. Get over here safe, right? Why not? But they played it to a spot which I don't think is the best, even though it's one of the most played moves in these type of positions. The main reason why it's just not a good spot for it is they think they're protecting. So when I take with the piece, they can do a trade. This is doing it by force, right? I mean, trade and I have to take back and they have time to castle, especially if I take with the knight at some point. And if I play rook over now, obviously after they capture the b-pawn, it's a discovered attack on my rook. So they think this is an active spot. And maybe, since they can castle, it makes sense. But now you revert to kind of what is a Evans Gambit structure. A lot of these gambits after e4 and e5 in the opening, when you sack a pawn, Evans Gambit, Greco Gambit, Scotch Gambit, Danish Gambit. There's so many of these gambits after e4, e5, and they're all sometimes very similar for certain ideas. And this makes a lot of sense because now we're taking the c-pawn on c3, not with our knight, but we're taking with the pawn, so it blocks the knight. We don't like that, but we're doing it with tempo. We're attacking the bishop. One of the things we like about our pawn going to c3, by the way, is if our bishop's not going to go to b2, right? If they are not going to capture and allow our bishop to be on b2 with this beautiful diagonal, if they're not going to do that, well, we want our bishop to be active in a different spot. So we have this diagonal to work on, right? We already have a lot of choices. But after bishop takes c3, we suddenly have a3. And this diagonal can be huge, especially if they back up. And we play here to a3. Suddenly they can't castle. They try to block it up. And since we are safe and castled, and right now this pawn blocks the bishop from reaching, so rook going to e1 is going to be very strong, we now can play, and this is an Evans Gambit game, basically. This has changed the Evans Gambit structure, and this is an actual position I've reached several times with Evans Gambit. Very common. You're trying to put a lot of pressure. Notice this e-pawn is attacking the knight, putting pressure on the d-pawn. This bishop is helping over here, and this is a lot of pressure. And again, queen going to b3, right? This bishop's here, so the knight won't harass our queen and our bishop. Queen going to b3 at the right time can also be very strong. So these are some really good attacking ideas. So once they played bishop b4, I was actually very happy to see that, because now I can take with tempo. Now, granted, they can keep their bishop. They don't have to go to a5. They can keep it on this diagonal and go to different spots. c5, d6, even e7. All these moves, though, this is with tempo. They still haven't castled. This captures with tempo. The only drawback for white, of course, is now it's harder to make this knight happy. Usually, if we get this pawn forward to e5 with tempo, then our knight later can be huge on d4. You know, it has some good possibilities, but knights are slow, so it does take a couple moves to get there. All right, they played bishop e7, and that makes this whole position kind of cramped again. They still do not have a lot of strength in the sweet center. We control the sweet center. And how do we take advantage of this? We want to keep going, and they haven't castled. Well, because we were able to do this by tempo, and they gave us basically a free move, we now go forward again, and we attack this knight. We've gotten our pawn in, and since our bishop was not going to be on b2, that's okay. We're doing this with tempo. Now this square, e4, is open up for a knight for later, a really strong spot. But more importantly is, where's the knight going to go? Is it going to go over here? Well, you just lose it. Is it going to go over to e4? Well, then you're just threatening over here, and you've already picked up a piece, so I don't think that's going to happen. Is it going to go over here on h5? Was that any better than g4? Or is it going to go home and block everything up? And notice, this is a rough position, because since we control d5 and we are chasing this knight away, this battery might be a winning battery. They can't do this d5 idea, because even though they're attacking a bishop for a knight, now that the bishop's on e7, we're going to keep munching, munch, and we're up at least a piece. Not to mention, we could always take on g7 and for other tricks too later, if they play d5. So d5 doesn't work either. All right, so after this tempo gaining, where is it going to go? Well, they went to g4. They want to keep the option open for castling, and they do have a safe square to run away. Again, notice, if they went to h5, do they have any safe squares? Not safe, not safe, can't go, or not safe. And this would just pick up the knight right away if you want. And I don't mind making a little windy if I'm already up some material. Plus, hopefully, I keep attacking. All right, let's back it up. And they play knight g4. We're not going to do much more than this, because this is already very awkward. When I play h3, and their knight is going to h6, and I break up their king side, this is exactly what a Danish Gambit player wants to see. You're going to destroy the king side. Where is their king going to go? And we've accomplished kind of what we've set out to do. The only trick here is that the knight on g4 is working with the knight on c6, and they're double attacking the pawn. The strongest move, which actually I did not play, but I do play many times in these positions. Whoops, let's back it up. Let's go forward. The strongest move, which I did not play, but I do play many times in these positions, and I was thinking about for a moment, is queen to d5. Again, you're threatening checkmate, and more importantly, you're double protecting your e-pawn. So this is with tempo, because they have to deal with the checkmate, and now h3 is going to be huge. For example, after they castle, h3, where does the knight go? h6, we capture, and this is a fantastic position for white. We are down a pawn, but we don't really worry about one pawn. We've kind of destroyed the structure, and we still dominate that sweet center, and I call it the sweet center because I love saying these four squares of the sweet center, and I learned this from Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan. He says sweet center too, and I love that. The only trick is now, if we don't get a winning attack immediately, how do we deal with this knight? Well, we have a great route for our knight. We can go to d2, e4, and if we still are able to keep going all the way to f6. Of course, that's a dream to get to f6, but still, we have a route for activity, so it's not too bad, and we get another rook involved. So this is a very good position. But when we look at this weakness in black's position, the f-pawn is pinned. It can't go forward. Their king side has already been destroyed, so there's no g-pawn over here. How does white proceed? I would proceed with queen backing up. Notice that this diagonal is no longer going to win for us because, well, the rook's protecting here and the queen's in front of the battery, so our queen's not taking an f-pawn. So one of the ideas is when you're ahead in time and space and you've had a couple free tempos is you try to figure out where you want to place your pieces. Well, the weak point now is not f7, but h7. So I would jump to this diagonal, and this threat of bishop going to d3 and this battery aiming a checkmate battery basically going to h7 is huge. This is a winning combination. Black has one move to try to solve the situation. And how do they do it? Notice the f-pawn can't move to block. It's pinned. There is no queen coming through this bishop to protect this area for the moment. So this is huge. They actually have to give a pawn back. They have to do this with attacking. They have to give us a pawn back. And 3, 6, 3, 6, 7. So if we get our pawn back and still can attack because their king side is messed up, very windy along the G line, this is a great position for white. We kind of have to take, and now all the material is equal, and we still have great chances over here. I love it. And notice, though, let's just back up real quick. If they played d5, en passant doesn't actually work. We don't win the pawn like bishop taking. They take back, so it's actually a pawn trade, so they're still up a pawn, though I'm not worried about a pawn by itself, but it's the fact that the queen can now slide over. So their queen covers all the windiness against our queen, so we don't really have the same attack. But we did have an easy way to play and just take our pawn, and now they still have to deal with this situation and we can get our pieces active. This is a great position. This is what a Danish Gambit player looks for. All right, guys, I hope you guys play some Danish Gambit. The best way to get better at anything is just jump in, get your hands on the pieces, and become a better attacker. I don't care if it's going to be your main opening, but you should definitely try some Danish Gambit action. It's a lot of fun. All right, this is Coach Aaron out. Peace.